Welcome everyone, Questini here with a discussion about Malakai McKayson's campaign in Total War Warhammer 3, The Realms of Chaos. Now, anyone who's watched my channel for any reasonable length of time will know that my opinion of Realms of Chaos is not a particularly great one. I don't think it's a good map. I think, like, when you look at the map over there, like, just the way things are designed, it just doesn't lend itself to a great campaign. And also, compared to, like, the Warhammer map, Warhammer 2 map, versus Mortal Empires and Immortal Empires, like you look at the areas that you have in Warhammer 1 versus the areas you have in Mortal Empires, or the Vortex campaign map versus Mortal and Immortal Empires. Yeah, there's smaller areas are smaller and all that, but overall it just feels like a more focused campaign on those areas, whereas Realms of Chaos is all over the place. But Malakai has a far different situation in his campaign than a lot of other Legendary Lords, I would say, for a couple of reasons. First off, he does have these objectives, these adventures, really, which are the adventures of Gotrek and Felix, are not going to convince me otherwise, really. But he has these adventures that he goes on to improve his units, right? Be it cannons, gyrocopters, goblin hewers, gyrobombers, flame cannons, organ guns. And you can do multiple of these adventures, and I didn't realize it in this campaign. This was the first campaign I played just to test mechanics of it. Didn't realize, you could do multiple of these. And you can get some really interesting foes to deal with and some interesting dilemmas in this campaign. Add to that the new Dwarf Grudge system, and you're incentivized as a player to really go out there and go in areas that you wouldn't do otherwise. Add to that the legendary grudges, which are also available in this particular map, be it dealing with the casters and Grimgore. He might be easier to deal with in Realms of Chaos, but he's still Grimgore. Dealing with Norska, dealing with Clan Molder, dealing with the World's Edge Mountains, and dealing with Neferata's Silver Pinnacle situation, which, by the way, this grudge alone might seem easy. It's like, oh, just take a settlement that's only held by one faction that starts with one settlement, minor faction. But when you take it and you start the event, it's like you're going to start seeing endgame vampire armies starting to spawn. So, fairly interesting stuff, this on its own. So that's one thing to mention, that his unique campaign mechanics, in a way that many other campaign mechanics just feel good to me, personally. Like, you could enjoy just the grudge system, the legendary grudges on this campaign map, and his unique objectives. They do add quite a bit, especially when combined together, because you're doing all of these things at once. So, one of the problems in ROC, and even in Immortal Empires, is you kind of run out of things to do after a certain point, and it just becomes a grind as opposed to a challenge. And we do want things to aspire for as gamers. We do want things to challenge us. We do want interesting things. So that's one thing I do think that's working for him in Realms of Chaos. But do let me know what you think about that. Another thing to point out is because of Frozen, Wasteland, Mountain, and Savannah, he has a lot of the map available. He doesn't have Cafe. He doesn't have the Empire in this map, though the Empire is not great in this map. Like, Elspeth's campaign in this, not really superb. But this means you've got all of Norska, all of the Darklands, the Northern World Edge Mountains, the Mountains of Morn. So if we move the map over here, like, all of this territory on the map is available to you, all the way towards here. So that's a lot of territory that you can cover and go through. But not just that, not just his unique campaign mechanics, not just his legendary grudges, not just the fact that he's awesome because he starts with Gotrek and Felix and he can get Ulrika. Of course, I didn't get her in this campaign. The structure is a bit annoying because you need to get one on the Spirit of Grungni. Or maybe I should have unlocked Ulrika by this particular point. Oh yeah, I just need to amass the treasury. Just don't have the money. Yeah, losing money. Pushing my economy to the brink, turn 47. But there's something else as well that makes this more compelling, I think, and awesome. And that is the Legendary Lord situation. So the part of Dwarf rework is the fact that you can get Legendary Lords confederations done from a distance using the Grudge system. It starts at 15k, increases to 30k, 45k, and right now, because I have several of them, it has increased to 60k. But what this means is you can get every dwarf legendary lord in this campaign. So over here, we got Forgrim, we got Ungrim. Now you could confederate Ungrim for regular diplomacy. I think you need to first do a grudge confederation before you can do another legendary lord. So you do need to get one of them like Forgrim or Grombrindle. Yes, you do get all of these guys. And CA knew what they were doing, I think, because not only do you get these legendary lords, but you may notice that they have their quest items. You don't get these for free. Their quest bells have been added to Realms of Chaos. So there are locations on this map where you can do all of their quest bells and get all of their items. Maybe there's something missing for Grombrindle, or no, I just need one more one more level over there to get this final quest bell. So you do have, because of this, because of all of this put together, you actually end up with a lot of variety in this particular campaign. And also because the Chaos Dwarves are three major factions right next to each other over here between Zorno's Skull, the Blasted Wastes, and then over here in the Nobilar country with the Black Fortress of Drazov, you end up in a situation where you are really fighting an Age of Reckoning against the Chaos Dwarves. Beyond the fact that, you've got Norska, you've got Chaos. You start in Krakadrak, in Realms of Chaos. You do have various underway locations from Scrag's starting position to the World Edge Mountains to Krakadrak, and that's just the regular underway, and then you can unlock Zorn's Skull and Karaka Zorn. So you have a lot of flexibility in this campaign in terms of movement. You have a lot of variety because of the Legendary Lords and the various objectives. You start in an interesting situation because you're right next to Valkia. And let me tell you, as powerful as Malakai is, dealing with Valkia early on, sure, you'll probably easily defeat her, but it is interesting. I think it is interesting, and it adds a lot of spice that I think a lot of Realms of Chaos campaigns are severely lacking. Generally speaking, Realms of Chaos campaigns are not really that great out there, are you? I've played Elspeth's campaign, and yeah, it was a bit interesting getting France as a confederation. You can get Tadi as well, dealing with Scrag, but once that's done, there's not much really to this campaign. I mean, you could argue the Changeling, but he's not really a threat in either Realms of Chaos or Mortar Empires. He'll have one army, it's weak, all that. I just don't know how to handle him, I think. And you get for instance, let's say if I start the Organ Gun objective, right, I'll get these really powerful armies with rank 25 lords over here in the Chaos Waste that I'll have to deal with. They won't move, but that's certainly going to be quite a heck of a challenge to deal with, moving over there, dealing with all the objectives. One of the problems, by the way, with ROC, I think, is the campaign was clearly designed for rifts, but the rifts suck, right? But without the rifts, the map just doesn't quite work. The initial designers of ROC, Realms of Chaos, did build the map and did build the campaign around a specific mechanic that just didn't end up working. But removing the rifts, as every campaign does, has its own issues. And it just makes campaigns feel uninteresting. But not in this situation. Because, due to Confederation, Grudge Rework, Legendary Lords, unique campaign mechanics, this has a lot on offer that I think no other campaign has to offer in this situation in Realms of Chaos. What exactly that means for people who are going to play this campaign, how much people are going to enjoy it, well, that's up to you. I'm just highlighting it because it might just be one of the few campaigns that's actually worth playing in Realms of Chaos. Or maybe not. Let me know what you guys think about it. For my part, I have had fun in this, a lot more than I actually expected. I do play Realms of Chaos campaigns if I'm testing mechanics. When the DLC comes out, I get my hands on it, and I just want to go get that, get to grips with mechanics. I'll do ROC just for the sake of that, but it's not really an interesting situation. But this is different. This just feels different. It plays different. Because, the grudges alone force you to play in a way. You don't have, luxury time. People complain, grudges force you to be hyper-aggressive. That's not quite the case, because, certain factions may have very few grudges, and the more you leave them alive, especially if they're harassing dwarves. So, Chaos Dwarves will build a lot of grudges. Let's just say There's been a lot of dead cast orbs over here. Astrogoth really pissed me off. Like, Astrogoth and Zaytan were brutal. Like, they had to mass like thousands of grudges each on even individual armies. So that is compelling in itself, I think. But that's what I believe on the subject. Let me know what you guys think. Might be worth checking out, might not be. Depends on your taste. Obviously, Immortal Empires is the main game mode at this point. But, you know, I do have to wonder, how much is Creative Assembly building these mechanics for this particular map versus Immortal Empires? Because it does feel like, when I'm thinking about Malakai's adventures, it does feel like there's been quite a bit of effort for Realms of Chaos, as opposed to just Immortal Empires. Not that this campaign in Immortal Empires is crap, it's not. That's the thing, it's a good campaign, I think, in both of them, or at least a very interesting one. Different, I'd use that word for the moment, before I can do a review. A full review of Thrones of Decay will be coming out next few days. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you next time.